Chapter 4. A Message from Africa. One cold winter night, they were all sitting around the warm fire in the kitchen. The doctor was reading aloud to them out of books he had written in animal language. Suddenly, the owl Tutu said, "Shh! What's that noise outside?" They all listened and heard the sound of someone running. Then the door flew open and the monkey Chi-Chi ran in badly out of breath. "Doctor," he cried, "I have a message from my cousin in Africa. There is a bad sickness among the monkeys there. They're all catching it, and they are dying in the hundreds. They have heard of you and beg you to come to Africa to stop the sickness." "Who brought the message?" asked the doctor. He took off his glasses and put down his book. "A swallow," said Chi-Chi. "She is outside." "Bring her in by the fire," said the doctor. "She must be very cold. The swallows flew south 6 weeks ago." So the swallow was brought in. She was a little afraid at first and shivering, but she soon warmed up and sat on the mantel and began to talk. When she had finished, the doctor said, "I would gladly go to Africa, but I'm afraid we don't have money enough to buy the tickets to get there." "Get me the money box, Chi-Chi." The monkey climbed up and got it off the dresser. There was nothing in it, not 1 penny. "I felt sure there was 2 pence left," said the doctor. "There was," said the owl, "but you spent it on a rattle for that otter's baby when he was teething." "Did I?" said the doctor. "Dear me, what a nuisance money is. To be sure. Well, never mind. I will go down to the seaside to try to borrow a boat that will take us to Africa. I knew a sailor once who bought his baby to me with measles. Maybe he'll lend us a boat, since the baby got well." So early the next morning, the doctor went down to the seashore. And when he came back, he told the animals it was all right. The sailor was going to lend them the boat. Then the crocodile and the monkey and the parrot were very glad and began to sing, for they were going back to Africa, their real home. And the doctor said, "I shall only be able to take you 3, with Jip the dog, Dab Dab the duck, Gub Gub the pig, and the owl Tutu. The rest of the animals, like the mice and the bats, they will have to go back and live in the fields till we come home again. But as most of them sleep through the winter, they won't mind that." The parrot had been on long sea voyages before, so she began telling the doctor all the things he would have to take with him on the ship. "You must have plenty of thick crackers," she said, "and you must have food in cans and an anchor." "I think the ship will have its own anchor," said the doctor. "Well, make sure," said Polynesia, "because it's very important. You can't stop if you haven't got an anchor, and you'll need a bell." "What's that for?" asked the doctor. "To tell time by," said the parrot. "You go and ring it every half hour, and then you know what time it is. And bring a whole lot of rope. It always comes in handy on voyages." Then they began to wonder where they were going to get the money from to buy all the things they needed. "Bother it, money again!" cried the doctor. "Goodness, I shall be glad to get to the jungles of Africa, where we don't have to have any. I'll go and ask the food store man if he will wait for his money till I get back. No, I'll send the sailor to ask him." So the sailor went to the food store, and soon he came back with all the things they wanted. Then the animals packed up. They turned off the water so the pipes wouldn't freeze. They closed the shutters, they locked the house, and gave the key to the old horse in the stable. They made sure there was plenty of hay in the loft to last the horse through winter. Then they carried all their bags down to the seashore and got onto the boat. The cat food man was there to see them off. He brought a large basket of biscuits as a present for the doctor and the animals. As soon as they were on the ship, Gub Gub, the baby pig, asked where the beds were. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he wanted his nap. So Polynesia took him downstairs into the inside of the ship and showed him the beds. They were all on top of one another like bookshelves on a wall. "Why, that isn't a bed," cried Gub-Gub. "That's a shelf." "Beds are always like that on ships," said the parrot. "It isn't a shelf. Climb up into it and go to sleep. That's what you call a bunk." "I don't think I'll go to bed yet," said Gub-Gub. "I'm too excited. I want to go upstairs again and see them start." "Well, this is your first trip," said Polynesia. "You will get used to the life after a while." And she went back up the stairs of the ship humming a sailor song. They were just going to start on their journeys when the doctor said he would have to go back and ask the sailor the way to Africa. But the swallow said she had been to that country many times and would show them how to get there. So the doctor told Chee-Chee to pull up the anchor, and the voyage began. Chapter 5. The Great Journey. Now, for 6 whole weeks, they went sailing on and on over the rolling sea. They followed the swallow, who flew before the ship to show them the way. At night she carried a tiny lantern so they would not miss her in the dark, and the people on the other ships that passed said that the light must be a shooting star. As they sailed further and further into the south, it got warmer and warmer. Polynesia, Chee-Chee, and the crocodile enjoyed the hot sun. They ran about laughing and looking over the side of the ship to see if they could see Africa yet. But the pig and the dog and the owl, Tutu, were too hot. They sat at the end of the ship in the shade of a big barrel, with their tongues hanging out, drinking lemonade. Dab-Dab kept herself cool by jumping into the sea and swimming behind the ship. When they got near to the equator, they saw some flying fish coming toward them, and the fishes asked the parrot if this was Dr. Doolittle's ship. She told them it was. They said they were glad because the monkeys in Africa were getting worried that he would never come. Polynesia asked them how many miles they had yet to go, and the flying fish said it was only 55 miles now to the coast of Africa. And another time, a school of porpoises came dancing through the waves. They also asked Polynesia if this was the ship of the famous doctor. Then they asked the parrot if the doctor wanted anything for his journey. Polynesia said, "Yes, we are short of onions." "There is an island not far from here," said the porpoises, "where the wild onions grow tall and strong. We will get some and catch up to you." So the porpoises dashed away through the sea. Very soon they came up behind, dragging onions through the waves in the big nets made of seaweed. The next evening, as the sun was going down, the doctor said, "Get me the telescope, Chee-Chee. Our journey is nearly ended. Very soon we should be able to see the shores of Africa." And sure enough, about a half hour later, they thought they could see the land, but it began to get darker and darker, and they couldn't be sure. Then a great storm came up with thunder and lightning. The wind howled and the rain came down hard. The waves got so high they splashed right over the boat. Soon there was a big bang. The ship stopped and rolled over on its side. The doctor ran up from downstairs. "What's happened?" he asked. "I'm not sure," said the parrot, "but I think we're shipwrecked. Tell the duck to go get out and see." So Dab-Dab dove right down under the waves, and when she came up, she said they had struck a rock. There was a big hole in the bottom of the ship. The water was coming in, and they were sinking fast. "We must have run into Africa," said the doctor. "Dear me! Well, we must all swim to land." But Chi-Chi and Gub-Gub did not know how to swim. "Get the rope," said Polynesia. "I told you it would come in handy. Where's that duck? Come here, Dab-Dab. Take this end of the rope. Fly to the shore. Tie it onto a palm tree. We'll hold the other end on the ship here. Anyone who can't swim must climb along the rope till they reach the land. That's what you call a lifeline." So they all got safely to the shore. Chi-Chi and Gub-Gub brought the doctor's trunk and handbag with them. But the ship was no good anymore. With the big hole in the bottom, soon the rough sea beat it to pieces on the rocks, and those pieces floated away. They all took shelter till the storm was over in a nice dry cave they found up high in the cliffs. When the sun came out the next morning, they went down to the sandy beach to dry themselves. "Dear old Africa," sighed Polynesia. "It's good to get back. Just think, it'll be 169 years tomorrow since I was here, and it hasn't changed a bit. Same old palm trees, same old red earth, same old black ants. There's no place like home." And the others noticed she had tears in her eyes. She was so pleased to see her country once again. Then the doctor realized his high hat was missing. It had been blown into the sea during the storm. So Dab-Dab went out to look for it. And soon she saw it, a long way off, floating on the water like a toy boat. When she flew down to get it, she found one of the white mice sitting inside it. It was very frightened. "What are you doing here?" asked the duck. "You were told to stay behind in Puddleby." "I didn't want to be left behind," said the mouse. "I wanted to see what Africa was like. I have relatives there." So I hid and was brought into the ship with the crackers. When the ship sank, I was terribly frightened because I cannot swim far. I swam as long as I could, but I got very tired and thought I was going to sink. Then the old man's hat came floating by, and I got into it because I didn't want to be drowned. So the duck brought the hat with the mouse in it to the doctor onto the shore, and they all gathered round to have a look. "That's what you call a stowaway," said the parrot. Suddenly the monkey Chi-Chi said, "Shh! I hear footsteps in the jungle." They all stopped talking and listened, and soon an African man came down out of the woods and asked them what they were doing there. "My name is John Doolittle, M.D.," said the doctor. "I have been asked to come to Africa to cure the monkeys who are sick." "You must all come before the king," said the man. "What king?" asked the doctor. "The king of Jolliginki," the man answered. "All these lands belong to him. All strangers must be brought before him. Follow me." So they gathered up their baggage and went off, following the man through the jungle.